Welcome to Boxonic, where the biggest fights meet the realest talk. Today, we're diving into Canelo versus Crawford, the predictions, the controversy, and the legends who are picking sides. Let's get into it.
You have Crawford jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, who's a natural light heavyweight. Crawford, who couldn't push back Madrimov. Life and death with Madrimov. What do you think Canelo's going to do to him? Run him out of the ring!
Oscar De La Hoya's sudden change of opinion has stirred major controversy just months ahead of one of boxing's most anticipated showdowns. In a recent interview, De La Hoya admitted that while he had previously picked Crawford to beat Canelo, he now sees that outcome as nearly impossible. But Crawford isn't having any of it. He fired back, brushing off Oscar's prediction and promising an easy win.
Canelo, and he fights at 168 plus, so I don't see me and him fighting. So
what's the highest you could fight at realistically?
I would say 154 realistic.
154.
You know,
So
them boys get big up there. Them boys get big. And I'm not a person to, toot my own horn.
De La Hoya was in on Terence Crawford at first. He confidently predicted Crawford would beat Canelo any day of the week. Back then, he described Crawford not as some small guy moving up in weight, but as a naturally strong athlete who could hang at 168 pounds if he wanted. It was a strong endorsement of Crawford's strength, adaptability, and ring IQ. And it flipped the old saying, a good big man beats a good little man, on its head. To De La Hoya, Crawford wasn't little, but now, he's doing a full 180, calling the fight a mismatch and almost dismissing Crawford completely.
The main cards, it will be 4 fights. And we will have Canelo Crawford and the co-main event and 2 fights. One of them is Gerald and Miller, if we finish it. Then there is another card start earlier for free for everywhere. We are thinking to put around from 6 to 10 fights for time.
Crawford didn't let that slide. Calm but direct. He called out De La Hoya for constantly flip-flopping, one moment praising him, the next casting doubt. He also reminded everyone that their fight on September 13th isn't just about titles or star power. It's historic. If Crawford beats Canelo and becomes undisputed in a 3rd weight class, it'll be a first in men's boxing history. Not Sugar Ray Leonard, not Roy Jones Jr., not even Floyd Mayweather has done that. Crawford's legacy is already solid in many fans' eyes, but a win here would put him in a league of his own. Still, critics keep questioning his resume.
All about making history. I was the first 2-time undisputed champion of the world. First 3-time undisputed.
Eddie Hearn is one of those voices echoing that concern. He respects Crawford's skills, but points out that he's never had a marquee fight against a great opponent in their prime. It wasn't a diss, it was more of a reality check on how the sport has failed to give Crawford the spotlight matchups he deserved. Hearn acknowledged Crawford's wins, like the one over Ricky Burns, but compared to the big names Canelo has faced, they don't stack up. Even dominant wins against Brook, Khan, and Spence Jr. come with asterisks. Brook and Khan were past their best, and Spence had lingering questions after that serious car crash and long layoff.
Canelo couldn't knock out Charlo. Or you really think that he's gonna knock out Crawford? I would pick Terence Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez, even at 168. Everybody can call me crazy and whatever you want to say. I get it. Y'all didn't believe me when I told you about Spence, but trust me, Crawford will figure out a way. I know a secret y'all don't know, and I ain't gonna tell you why I would pick Terence Crawford, but it's part of the secret is the reason why I'm picking him to win the fight.
Canelo's resume is as deep as it gets, stacked with names like Floyd Mayweather, Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, Miguel Cotto, and Caleb Plant. He's jumped across divisions, chasing both belts and greatness. Sure, some of those wins came with context. Golovkin and Kovalev were aging, and there were controversies, but the point remains, Canelo has consistently faced elite opposition. That's why guys like De La Hoya and Hearn, despite their history with him, can justify leaning toward Canelo. He's not just a bigger man, he's battle-tested at the very top.
I say before, he's a great fighter. But if you look at his career, mention one elite fighter. Just mention me one elite fighter.
So Poster wasn't elite?
Who?
But not everyone thinks this is some kind of mismatch. For a lot of fans and analysts, Terence Crawford's pure skill is the great equalizer. His footwork, his control of distance, his ability to switch stances and read opponents, these tools make him a nightmare in the ring. Against Errol Spence, Crawford didn't just win, he embarrassed him. It was clinical, patient, and brutal. And yes, moving up to super middleweight is a huge challenge. But styles make fights. Crawford rarely gets hit clean, doesn't waste energy, and if he can absorb Canelo's power, his ring IQ could take over.
This fight does more for your career than fighting David Benavidez?
You can see the career of Terence Crawford or Benavidez. Terence Crawford was undisputed champion in 2 weight classes, many championship fights. So he bring me something to the table.
Still, De La Hoya's sudden shift has people talking. Is this really about boxing or business? Oscar's history with Canelo is complicated. They were tight. Then they split in a very public, messy fallout when Canelo left Golden Boy. Now, with Saudi Arabia throwing its weight behind the sport and stacking mega-events, even old grudges seem to be getting pushed aside. Turki Alashi, the Saudi power player making all these super fights happen, is bringing together names who once wouldn't even be in the same room. With that kind of money and spotlight, motives can shift fast.
Is there a champion?
I'm going to fight another elite
There is
fighter
a champions, good fighters, but elite fighters is different. Wait.
So I'm going to fight an elite fighter in September. Yeah.
Okay,
Then we're
going to find out.
Then we're going to find out.
And don't get me wrong, you're a great fighter.
I know I'm great.
You're a great fighter, but are you going to find out? I hope your uncle Turki Alashi pay you enough money because it's going to be the last. That's
it
for
may
sure.
be. It may be. Maybe.
I hope he pay you enough.
But you know, after fighters fight me, they ain't never the same. So
Alashik is playing a major role in making Canelo versus Crawford happen. Reports say he met with Crawford ahead of the announcement, and what Crawford told him was big. This might be his last fight. No rematch clause, no guarantees. Just one shot to make history. That's added some serious weight to this already massive event. Crawford is treating this like the final chapter, a legacy-defining night that could either seal his greatness or end in bitter disappointment. Most fighters don't get to write their own endings, but Crawford seems ready to. And if he pulls it off, it might be the perfect goodbye.
The thing is, on Terence Crawford's side, all the legacy, meaning he only has the opportunity to win the belts. Saul only has an opportunity to defend them. Terence Crawford has an opportunity to be in a 5 division and the only person to win all 4 belts in 3 separate weight divisions. Why is Saul taking this fight? And I'm going to tell you why. Because there's some things in life more important than just the belts. And that 20-year career that Terence Crawford made, that all that he has, is very valuable. Very, very valuable. He had 1 foot out.
There's also a money twist to this fight that could seriously crank up the action. According to Turki Alashi, knockout bonuses will be on the table, not just for this bout, but for future fights too. It's an idea pulled from MMA and gaming, now being brought into elite-level boxing. The timing couldn't be more pointed, especially after Canelo's slow, forgettable win over William Skull that left fans underwhelmed. These knockout incentives could flip the script, turning cautious, strategic fights into explosive high-stakes shootouts. For Crawford, who has a surprising KO rate for a slick technician, this could play right into his instincts. And for Canelo, a heavy-handed bruiser with a chin of steel, it's all the more reason to go for broke early and test Crawford's limits at 160.
You need to put a small ring, the smaller ring in the...
Hey, Matt. Yeah. The only running that I'm going to be doing is running upside his head, and I can assure you that. Facts. And he got a big head, too.
Carl Froch, never afraid to say exactly what he thinks, recently weighed in on the Canelo versus Crawford showdown and his take cuts against the grain. In an interview with Foot Italia, Froch pushed back on the growing narrative that favors Canelo. He pointed to Crawford's size and adaptability, saying, "That's a good fight. Crawford's bigger than you think. I just think that size matters, and he probably is bigger than the weight division he's been campaigning at. I think he'll grow into it. I think he'll get some bulk on him, and he'll be comfortable in the ring." Froch isn't the only one with that belief, but his conviction stands out. He's not dwelling on the risks of jumping weight classes. He sees it as a chance for Crawford to prove just how skilled and versatile he really is.
Be a disappointment if this did normal boxing numbers, you know, and let's be real, you know what Jake Paul is gonna say. He already shitted on this fight. Don't let the numbers not come anywhere close to his numbers with Tyson, and it's gonna be all bad. Would it even matter if Bud and Canelo didn't do the numbers of Jake and Tyson? Or is that an indictment on the sport that, it's just showing what our fan base prefers, right?
Froch broke down what makes Crawford dangerous: his skill, his mindset, and his ability to adapt mid-fight. He's extremely talented, very skillful. He's certainly got the ability to beat anybody he gets in the ring with. I'd probably pick Crawford to beat Canelo, Froch said, and that's not just empty talk. Coming from a man who shared the ring with killers like Andre Ward, Mikkel Kessler, and George Groves, that kind of opinion carries weight. Froch isn't hyping things up, he's giving a blunt, honest assessment. He believes this version of Canelo may not have enough left to deal with someone as sharp and versatile as Crawford.
No, that's 2 more weight classes. Once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go in.
Froch didn't stop there. He dug into what he sees as a visible decline in Canelo's recent outings, especially his latest fight. Canelo has passed his best altogether. He didn't look good in that last fight, Froch said, pointing out a dip in sharpness and hunger. He's not saying Canelo's washed, but he's questioning the fire. He's not motivated against fighters like that, just running and staying out of the way. Why would he walk into shots if he's winning on points? He wants an easy night. Froch's view paints a picture of a fighter who still has skills, but might be coasting, fighting to maintain, not dominate.
He hopes you don't run. And Turkey has a knockout bonus in this fight. And there seems to be something out there like the way for you to win this fight is to move, move, move. Is that true?
Listen. Turkey, you need to put a small ring. A small ring, the smaller ring in the only.
Later in that same interview, Froch didn't back down. He doubled down. Canelo has passed his best. He's had over 60 fights, made a fortune. Why is he even still fighting? Froch asked bluntly. But then he added, this isn't just another payday, it's a true super fight against Crawford. And that's exactly why it could go wrong. In Froch's view, Canelo might not have the same drive to take risks anymore. When you've already locked in your legacy and your bank account, the fire to chase danger starts to fade.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody. You got to show me that you can beat.
There's a real chance he could lose it, Froch warned. But no matter who loses, it'll feel like an upset just because so many people are riding with Crawford. He wasn't shy about giving Crawford major props either, calling him a proper bad boy fighter, with grit, skill, and an iron will. Still, Froch gave respect where it's due. Canelo, he said, is a true student of the game. He's fought everyone there is to fight. Froch added, he just gets it in and out, a high-level chess match between two fighters who know exactly what they're doing.
And here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand what Terence Crawford's, what a big part of his number one asset is. Do you know he has a 74-inch reach? Floyd Mayweather has a 73-inch reach.
Wow.
Okay? They're able to reach their opponents much easier than other fighters. Their arms are extremely long. This is why Terence Crawford, in my opinion, is
That same theme came up again, this time from Teddy Atlas. Speaking on his YouTube show, the legendary trainer and analyst broke down the matchup with his usual no-nonsense clarity. While he praised Canelo's resume and experience, he said, there's something about Crawford that sets him apart. Canelo is really good. But I think Crawford is special, Atlas said. He didn't ignore the criticisms about Crawford's resume, but made it clear to Lant isn't always about the names on your record. You either have that ingredient or you don't, and I think he's got it.
Always, to be honest with you, when I talk to Bud, he convinces me that he's going to win the fight because he's such a believer in his own ability, and he's very convinced. And then you see the presser yesterday, and I thought Canelo looked really well. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he's a big lump. So I was always Canelo, then I sort of leant towards Froch, but now I'm back with Canelo. So
Atlas went a step further. He questioned whether Canelo might be just a little overrated. He's tremendous, Atlas said, but could he be a tiny bit overrated? It wasn't a diss, it was a careful observation. For Atlas, what makes Crawford dangerous goes way beyond physical strength. That greatness is inside him, it's in his mind, in his will, in where he came from. Yes, moving up in weight is a challenge. But Atlas believes Crawford's intangible traits, his hunger, his mindset, his deep-seated fire, make him a different kind of threat, not just a boxer, but a fighter through and through.
The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you can't.
Sergio Mora also stepped in with his take, offering a thoughtful perspective on the Canelo versus Crawford showdown. For Mora, that old boxing line, a great big man beats a great small man, doesn't quite fit here. I used to always say that, Mora admitted, but after Canelo's last performance, where he struggled just to cut off the ring, it's not just about size anymore. For him, it comes down to sharpness, where, and how much a fighter has left after a long career. Let's be real, Mora said. Canelo has over 65 fights, turned pro at 15, and there's wear and tear. One day, he could just turn old overnight.
I don't have to have enough power to hurt him. I just got to beat him. That's it. If he slip up, then, you know, he will get hurt.
Time to go to work.
What's interesting is that Mora flipped the age discussion on its head. Sure, Crawford is technically older, but Mora argues Crawford might actually be the fresher fighter. Believe it or not, he is younger than Crawford, but Crawford doesn't have those miles in his eyes. Mora said he sees Crawford as having that physical and mental freshness Canelo may be losing. And he's not just moving up carelessly, he's doing it the right way. He's a mean dude, Mora said. He's bulking up smart, not just packing on weight. He looks bigger than Canelo when you see the shoulders and height. To Mora, this is a transformation, not just a weight jump.
Cause what all these streamers and these other YouTube guys, they didn't turn boxing into it's like a comedian show. It's just putting anybody in the ring. So Crawford and Canelo, good thing that fight is coming, because it's kind of put some kind of legitimacy back to boxing. Would you ever think a few years ago you would see a Charles?
As for how the fight plays out, Mora sees it going the distance, but not without scars. I think it's a decision-type fight, he said, and I don't think Canelo leaves unscathed. He's going to leave bruised and beat up, but he'll still win the decision. Mora respects what Crawford brings to the table, but he stops short of calling the upset. However, he acknowledges this won't be just another notch on Canelo's belt. This fight could alter both fighters' careers. Then there's Andre Ward, who's never one to get caught up in hype. Yet when it comes to Crawford, he's all in. I'm going with Terence Crawford, Ward told Boxing News. Big weight jump. Dangerous fight, but somebody has to prove to me they can break his will.
Canelo versus Crawford. Garcia's breakdown isn't just about raw talent. It's about the strategic elements that could tip the scale in favor of the Mexican superstar.
Robert, what's the smart bet on Crawford Canelo? Canelo by knockout or Canelo by decision?
Crawford by decision. And you have to bet?
Yes.
I say Canelo by decision. I've always been saying, I think Canelo at the end, obviously his strength, his weight, experience, everybody takes over.
Garcia's analysis makes it clear.
And Ward didn't mince words. No disrespect to Canelo, but I've said it the last few fights, I'm not betting against Terence Crawford, not against anybody right now. For Ward, this isn't about resumes or experience at higher weights. It's about solving a puzzle, and right now, Crawford is a puzzle no one's cracked. Ward's stance is clear. Until someone shows they can beat Crawford, he won't pick against him. It's not Hatit's respect for a fighter who, in Ward's eyes, hasn't even shown his ceiling yet.